So yesterday was quite a day. We had some great dialogue initiators. We started off the day exploring the issue of integrity in leadership. Mike Brown, who was the chair of the session, set the tone when he said that if you don't accept the importance of conscience, you will only then accept the importance of power. And he really had a powerful panel with him. Graham Turner shared his experience with the tax authorities, the BBC, and the conversation with his wife. And the incredible thing was the impact that it had on his 7-year-old son, who came up and said that I've been stealing sweets from the corner shop, decided to give all the money that he had, which was 30 pence. And when the shopkeeper said, "No, I can't take this back from you," he said, "I must, because God has told me to give it to you." We then heard from Ali Noor Hussein Ali, Member of Parliament from Somalia, who defined integrity as honesty, respect, and accountability. And he gave us very astute political advice when he said, upholding integrity is a very good way of practicing politics. And it was very interesting when he said, do the right things when you are alone and no one is watching, so that you can always do the right thing when everyone is watching. Om Bagaria narrated his experience of the labor issues they were having in their factory for almost 9 years, 800 workers. And what really gave the breakthrough, and that was very interesting, was the sharing of personal experiences and simple stories. And that, reminds us that sometimes big doors swing on small hinges, and big problems can sometimes have small and simple solutions. Siegfried Herzog from Germany pointed out that we expect our leaders to be excellent in all respects, and that's what really leads to a lot of disappointment. He spoke of the ethics of responsibility and made 3 critical points. Take political responsibility and change something. Know when to step aside. Do the morally right thing. Answer the call of conscience. He reminded us that looking for perfection leads to disappointment. Siegfried, let me tell you from personal experience that in leadership and with husbands, perfection is a myth. Sonam Tenzing confirmed Siegfried's point when he said that people have expectations from leaders, which is why they end up getting very disappointed. He said people will tolerate honest and upright politicians but dislike politicians with low moral, ethical values. He then gave the example of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who led the way and at the appropriate time decided that and made a firm decision that it was time for people to lead. He gave up power knowingly, happily, and willingly, without any pressure. Suresh and Mala Wazirani's story of how they've built TransAsia is really spectacular. And they shared a very recent example of how they have taken over a company which was making losses for 40 years and turned it around in 3 years. And Suresh went on to say that there were 2 critical factors in his mind which led to that. First, he said at the first board meeting, there was a lot of humility and honesty from his side to say, I don't have all the answers, but I believe collectively we can find the answers. He was honest and humble. And secondly, he soon recognized that the problem was not on the table, but it was round the table, and made certain changes, and that was the turnaround. In the next session, we looked at the connection between environment and democracy. Farai Maguwu of Zimbabwe said that their country faced challenges on 2 counts. One was legislation, where communities do not own the land and therefore they don't own the minerals which are on the land. And second is there was a lot of misinformation. And their strategy to combat this problem was very interesting. It was not high-level policy. It was community-based organizations, the CBOs. And through the CBOs, they started bringing in the media, experts, and started lobbying with the government to bring about change. Moise Nyaragubo, senator from Congo, said that the democracy deficit had had 4 major impacts in his country. Resources were not well managed. There was not an equitable distribution of wealth. The will of the people and their opinion was not taken. And then he made a very, very solemn point that when children are hungry and there's no food, people will not care for the ecology. And he left us with 3 very thought-provoking questions. He asked us, are you corruptible, or you haven't been corrupted as yet just because there has never been an opportunity? And then he asked, are natural resources a blessing, or are they actually a curse? Is it fair for someone to pollute and for others to pay the price? 3 very thought-provoking questions, I thought. Muna Ismail from Somalia made a very interesting point when she said that people in Africa have always lived in harmony with the environment. In fact, there is the whole tradition of African medicine, and this was a uniting force which unfortunately only recently has become a dividing force. Somalia was suffering from 4 major reasons: security challenges, lack of effective governance, no constitution, which hasn't been ratified as yet, and the absence of a reconciliation charter. Luke Nakaja, whom we heard on the first day and heard again yesterday, gave us a slideshow and brought out the very important and critical connection between democracy, ecology, and conflict. And he made the point that democracy does not guarantee sustainability. Chris Evans introduced us to the Eye of Sea initiative on land, lives, and peace. He broke the myth that deserts are always destined to expand, and he made a sharp observation when he said that when land is restored, everybody wins. We heard from Christine, who gave us an insight into those lovely birds, the falcons, who travel 22,000 kilometers, and the sad story of how 15,000 of them were killed in the previous year. And the response again was community-based. And then she said we fitted 3 GPS systems on 3 of these birds to track their flight to see that all was okay. I suspect, Niketu, that there is a small GPS in your phone as well. You know, at the end of the session, the message, I think, was very clear, that there is a clear connection between democracy and ecology, and you do not mess with nature. No wonder she's called Mother Nature. The open dialogue concept, I thought, was fantastic, where you chose a topic, you decided which session to sit for, and to my mind that was really democracy at play in its best form. The African evening was a treat, for everyone who was there. And it was fantastic to see the Africans were dancing, all of them together, like the United States of Africa, enjoying themselves in perfect harmony. And then suddenly the rest of the world decided that they also want a piece of the action. So everybody jumped in, and I think this represents true world politics, that everyone wants a piece of the African action. Before I sign off, and this being the last day, let me leave you with my favorite quote by Confucius, that if there be righteousness in the heart, there's beauty in character. If there's beauty in character, there's harmony at home. If there's harmony at home, there's order in the nation, and if there be order in the nation, there's peace in the world. Thank you very much.